Greetings, welcome back to the Spirit Walker channel. I just wanted to start this video by encouraging you, if you watch this channel and also the other channels by Eileen Coates, Unbiased on the Fence, and Vanessa VA about the Mandela effect. So I just wanted to encourage you to get the book. So it's out. It has been out for quite some time already. But it has all of the summary of the views and opinions and research that we have done. You can get it from Amazon and other outlets as well. I just wanted to make a video about the COVID-19 situation, the COVID-19'84 situation, and I'm going to explain why I'm calling it that, according to all of the research that I have done, and also according to noetic knowledge, meditation, and the analysis of Spiritism, but also the law of one. What we are going through in this pandemic is a chance that humanity has to redeem itself, to change its ways, and to value one another. And in effect, this is deliverance. We have been freed from something that is far worse. There was something that's far worse that was scheduled to take place at this transition time when humanity transitions from third density into fourth density positive, when the whole Earth is transitioning from third density to fourth density positive, according to the law of one terminology, and according to the Spiritist terminology, we're moving from a planet of trials and tribulation into a planet or a state of regeneration. It's the same thing. So basically, we're just calling this transition different names. And in almost all of the transitions that have happened in other planets and other situations, there has been quite a lot of strife. There's been quite a lot of changes and quite a lot of suffering. There are planets that were blown up to pieces. The law of one talks about planets being blown up to pieces. There is some channel material that I follow from Spiritist mediums, discussing how other planets ended up, or the civilizations ended up blowing up their own planets during this period of transition, because the infighting and the doubt and the confusion was so elevated that that particular civilization did not manage to transition in a way that that they were able to preserve their civilization, or some of their civilization. But the good news is that this is not what is going to happen to humanity. So it looks like we have been placed in a nicer timeline than what had been previously scheduled for humanity. And this brings us back to the title of this video, 1980, so COVID-19'84. Because if you read the book 1984 from George Orwell, he was supposedly an insider. He was supposedly someone that he was participating to these secret societies, and he was a British Secret Service, so that tells you everything that you need to know. And this guy Orwell, and also his mate Huxley, that wrote the book Brave New World. These guys were on the inside. They knew what the plans that these elitists were doing, or they were developing. And it's not just the physical If you follow the Spirit Walker channel, you know that we are a channel about spirituality and metaphysics. It's nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with politics or my materialism or my day job. And from the spiritual world, there was a plan for humanity, and basically the spiritual governance of this planet were going to allow this negative elite to carry out this plan because of the amount of karma that humanity had accumulated. If you are filthy, you need to go and have a shower, have a cold shower. You will know that a cold shower is not really necessarily pleasant, but it's something that is needed. You need to clean yourself to proceed in your path. So this is what was booked. This is what was scheduled for humanity. And basically, what happens is that something that is 100 times more mild took place. What was scheduled for humanity, and I want you to place your comments down below. What was scheduled for humanity, what was going to happen to humanity, was something more akin to, our good insider George Orwell had written. Some people say that he wrote the book because he fell out with the elite and he wanted to expose what the elite was planning to do. The elite, the physical elite, but also the metaphysical elite that gives orders to the physical elite. So the black magicians, the fourth density negative black magicians that still operate in the lower astral realms of this planet. And basically George Orwell might have had a falling out. That's possible. The other alternative is that the 1984 book was just predicted programming. So basically they release that information to people, and when it happens, when the calamities happen, people are already used to the idea. That's predicted programming. That's something that these elitists are very keen on, and they use it left, right, and center. So if you read the 1984 book, you will see that society is under complete watch. People are locked up in their houses or their rooms, and they're not allowed to go out. It's essentially a state that did happen here on this planet in real life, in the Soviet Union, in North Korea. It's still happening in China. It's a condition where the state can do anything that they want with you. There is no justice, there's no rule of law, and the police, it's a police state. They can arrest you at any time that they want. It also happened in East Germany and all of those countries behind the Iron Curtain. So that was already an attempt by these elitists to impose the state police on humanity, and it was spreading. But I think that the good news is that we are winning this. We are getting rid of the black magicians. Humanity is slowly changing. The change is very slow, but it is happening. And there is a call for the good ETs, the good spiritual beings, to come and help us. And this call is outweighing the call that the elitists send out for the black magicians and the lizards and so on and so forth to come and help on the negative side. So we're finally getting to a critical mass. It's not quite there yet, but we are changing slowly. And one example of this is that what we are going through right now is just 1/100th of what was originally programmed for this book. If you look at North Korea, state police, that's what the elitists had planned for the whole of humanity. And what we have now is a state where we are locked in our homes. We cannot go out. In some cases, you go out and police can arrest you or fine you. But what is happening is that is because of a pandemic. So at some level, we needed to go through this experience of being locked up, of being not allowed to leave the home. And we were going to go through this because a total police state, as predicted by the programming that they have done. But instead, we are going through this like in a much milder way, and that is because of a pandemic. So we know that at some stage we will go through, the pandemic will be over, and we are going to get back on our feet. We're going to go back to our cities and our roads and so on and so forth. So this is how karma operates. So you have karma, you still have to pay it, but the intensity of that suffering, the intensity of that payment, depends on how much you have learned. How much have you learned about not doing the bad things that you had done before? So there is a very famous story about the Buddha, where he was walking with his disciples, and then he stubbed his toe on a rock, and then it kind of bled. And then the disciples came to him later on and said, Buddha, you are an enlightened being, and you are beyond suffering, you are beyond everything. And how was it even possible that you, such a high being, had to suffer by hitting your toes on that particular rock? And he replied, look, I had many lifetimes ago, I had killed a man, I had committed murder, and I still had that karma outstanding. And basically what happened was, by that accident where I just stubbed my toe, that was the universe, that was the field of consciousness rebalancing that karma. So basically there was karmic retribution for the Buddha, and he had actually killed someone in a previous life. So he didn't, because of his enlightenment, because of the change in his attitude, he didn't have to go through the full amount of karma, which was to be killed, to be assassinated, because they had done that to someone else. So that shows you how karma is something that you do not, you can't get out of. You have to repay that. There needs to be that karmic rebalancing, but the intensity of that rebalancing varies according to your attitude. And the law of one discusses how to get rid of karma. They say in forgiveness lies the stoppage of the wheel of karma. So you keep having that karmic retribution done to you over and over and over again until you realize that what you've done wasn't right, and you forgive yourself and you forgive all of everybody else that had also sinned against you. That forgiveness gives you an element, or gives you the power to reduce the intensity of the karmic retribution that you're going to go through. Basically, stuff was going to happen to you, but it's going to be much milder than it was supposed to. And this is what seems to be happening at this stage with COVID-19. So we were going to have to go through a total police state, like North Korea-like, because that was the one world government plan that they had released in predictive programming to us. But instead, we are going through at the period of isolation, we are going through a period of doubt, and we are going through a period of suffering, but not in the same intensity that they had programmed for us, because humanity is seeing the light. Humanity is waking up, and that is unstoppable. That is very good news. The deaths that are being carried out, by the virus, they are tragic. They are very tragic, but they pale in comparison to the deaths that resulted from, for example, HIV/AIDS, or hunger, or suicide. So the COVID-19 is something horrible, but we have killed, if you put things in perspective, just World War II killed 20 million Russians. And that was just Russia. The current situation is very critical, yes, but if you put things in perspective, you will see that this karmic retribution that humanity is going through now is relatively restrained, is relatively mild in relation to what we have done to ourselves in the past. World War I, World War II, the Spanish flu after World War I. All of these things have been horrible. The total epidemic of suicide that we have on this planet. So all of these things need to be put in perspective as well. So I think that we are getting off relatively lightly. I don't want to make light of the situation, make fun of the situation, but I think in terms of karmic retribution, we are getting something that is relatively mild. Apparently, there will be other periods of karmic retribution that we have to go through, maybe through earthquakes. California keeps waiting for the big one that's going to happen. And similar things, and even global warming itself, it's likely to be serious in terms of changing the way that we live, even in terms of fatalities. So all of these things are part of the transition. They're part of the birth pains that we have to go through. But the good news is, it looks like, because humanity is slowly changing, it's becoming more compassionate, it's becoming more aware, it's becoming more enlightened, so to speak, and more keen to help one another and ditch selfishness. Because of that, the karmic retribution that we are getting it seems to be like 10% or 100 of what we were originally scheduled to receive. So this is good news. We are transitioning. Things will get better. We will get to the other side of this crisis, and stay positive and keep meditating, keep praying, and see you on the other side.